Let's get right into it because today we're breaking down a literal game changer in the world of comic book cinema. For almost 2 decades, there's been this glaring, almost awkward absence on Marvel screens. We're talking about one of their absolute most mysterious, powerful, and frankly cursed anti-heroes. Picture this, a supernatural being rocking a flaming skull whose very soul is bound to the spirit of vengeance. He is undeniably one of the heaviest hitters in Marvel history. And yet, despite having a massive die-hard fanbase, he's been completely missing from the MCU's giant interconnected storyline. Until now.
Because yeah, Marvel finally made its move. Listen, for years, we've all been waiting. Theories have completely exploded online. You know the drill. Fans dissecting every single pixel of background art in recent MCU projects, just desperate to spot a flaming chain. Well, the wait is over. In a massive Comic-Con reveal that sent absolute shockwaves through the fandom, Marvel officially announced Ghost Rider as a concrete part of their future. The spirit of vengeance is officially back in the fold.
But honestly, that brings up a really fascinating question. The big mystery we're going to unpack in this explainer isn't just that Ghost Rider is returning. The real question is, why right now? Why is Marvel choosing this exact moment, at this specific stage of their sprawling universe, to bring such a terrifying character into the spotlight?
To figure that out, we really need to understand the guy himself. Section 1, the outcast anti-hero, a cursed hero.
See, Johnny Blaze was never going to fit your standard superhero mold. Compare him to the guys we know. He doesn't have Tony Stark's tech genius or Steve Rogers' super soldier serum. Blaze's story starts with a completely desperate, tragic deal to save someone he loved. He's a fearless motorcycle stunt rider who ended up becoming the host to the spirit of vengeance. So, he's not flying around in a sleek, high-tech suit. Every night, his actual flesh transforms into blazing fire, leaving him with a burning skull. The main takeaway here is how much his vibe clashes with the heroes we've been following for over a decade. The guy wasn't chosen for greatness, right? He was literally condemned to it.
And then there's his most terrifying ability, the penance stare. Just one look, one judgment, and your soul is forced to relive every single ounce of pain you've ever caused anyone else. It is intense. This isn't about, foiling a bank robbery. It's about raw, inescapable justice. Anyone carrying the guilt of terrible sins risks facing this ultimate judgment. It proves Ghost Rider operates on a totally different moral spectrum than the Avengers. He isn't just a hero, he is a literal force of retribution.
Which leads us right into his pretty complicated history on the big screen. Section 2, before the MCU, Ghost Rider's past.
Okay, rewind to way before the whole MCU empire existed. Ghost Rider roared into theaters back in 2007 with Nicolas Cage. And fun fact, Cage was so dedicated to the role, he actually had to have his real-life Ghost Rider tattoo covered up with makeup while filming. Anyway, that movie definitely divided critics, but it undeniably built this super loyal fanbase. A sequel dropped a few years later, but it just couldn't quite snag that massive blockbuster success Marvel wanted. And then, the MCU launched. Iron Man completely shifted Hollywood's focus over to sci-fi, interconnected universes, and the spirit of vengeance? Well, he quietly disappeared from the screen and was left in the dust. So why is such a massive gap before bringing him back? Let's get into Section 3, Supernatural Shift, why Marvel waited.
For the longest time, there was just this huge tonal clash. Think about the classic MCU. It was built from the ground up on science, space exploration, and eventually the multiverse. It was all advanced armor and alien invasions. But Ghost Rider? He lives in a supernatural world defined by demons, magic, and ancient curses. If you tried dropping a flaming demon into that first Avengers movie back in 2012, it would have been totally jarring. It would have completely shattered that grounded sci-fi reality Marvel was working so hard to establish.
Pulling this off required a real master plan. First, you build audience trust with the science and the space stuff. Make us fall in love with the whole shared universe format. Then, you slowly, very slowly, drip-feed magic, monsters, and darker themes into the mix. So it's only now, after years of this careful groundwork and slowly tiptoeing into supernatural territory, that the stage is finally perfectly set for Ghost Rider to just seamlessly walk into the story.
But of course, that leaves us with one massive burning question. Section 4, Who will ride? Casting speculation.
Since official casting details are still totally locked down, the fandom is completely exploded into two fiercely passionate camps. On one side, you've got the purists pulling hard for Johnny Blaze. He represents the classic legend from the comics, the original stunt rider we all know. But on the other side, a huge chunk of fans are clamoring for Robbie Reyes. He brings this gritty, modern interpretation with a totally different origin story, swapping the motorcycle for an awesome muscle car. Honestly, whichever way Marvel leans, the dynamic of the MCU is going to shift drastically, because both versions bring such a unique flavor to the screen.
But hey, no matter who ends up under the flaming skull, this changes the whole shebang. Section 5. A darker universe. A new era of Marvel.
Bringing Ghost Rider in isn't just a simple roster update. It's literally unlocking a terrifying new corner of this universe. Just look at the new status quo we're heading toward. We're talking demons instead of aliens, ancient curses replacing advanced technology. We are looking at unprecedented supernatural threats that are unlike anything audiences have seen in this franchise so far. And maybe the biggest shift? This is a world where heroes don't have guaranteed happy endings, and the emotional consequences are very, very real.
Like the quote says, Ghost Rider opens the door to horror. Marvel isn't just adding another superhero to the team here, they are introducing a completely new genre. This character acts as the ultimate bridge, connecting all of Marvel's weird, supernatural fringe characters into one cohesive, genuinely terrifying mythology. We are watching a cinematic universe finally embrace dark magic in a way it never has before.
And this expansion brings a much darker atmosphere, which changes the stakes entirely. Just imagine the heroes we already know and love suddenly having to navigate this genuinely creepy, horror-tinged world. It's an atmospheric shift that fans have been literally begging for, and it's finally happening. If they nail this, Ghost Rider is going to become one of the most unforgettable parts of the franchise, completely pushing the boundaries of what a Marvel story can even feel like.
Because the stakes in this new era, they are no longer just physical, they're spiritual. When you're dealing with the spirit of vengeance, you are literally dealing with the human soul. That completely transforms the sandbox these storytellers are playing in, raising the danger level way beyond anything the Avengers have faced. The consequences aren't just about saving a city anymore. They are about saving humanity from literal damnation. It is wild.
For almost 2 decades, Ghost Rider has been one of Marvel's biggest unanswered questions. But guys, the wait is over. The flames are back. The spirit of vengeance is finally riding back into the spotlight, bringing true horror and dark magic right to the absolute forefront of the world's biggest entertainment franchise.
So whether you're a longtime comic fan who's been waiting since that 2007 movie, or maybe you're just discovering the curse of Ghost Rider for the very first time today, one thing is absolutely for sure. Marvel's universe is about to get much darker, much stranger, and so much more dangerous. As this whole new era of supernatural horror dawns, are you ready? If you found this explainer helpful for breaking down why all this matters, be sure to stick around for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaping the future of entertainment. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep learning.